Good morning, good evening, everyone. Today we are, I don't know even which top recruiter workshop, I have lost account. But we're back to UK with the Montfort University, one of the very top list of our university in UK. Today we do have Martin, Joseph, Hannah, and I'm from the Montfort. I really appreciate if you guys turn on your camera and that our audience can see you. Also, we have NG. So since last time the Q&A was a little interesting for my part, I thought like maybe bringing NG, my colleague, and taking care of all the Q&A at the end, as we did with our last University of Denver. That Kelvin done that job, and it's easier for me. So I'm being lazy around that. So once again, thank you so much, Martin, Joseph, Hannah, and Amber for taking time today with us and obviously going through the Montfort University. Really pleasure having you guys all. And for our audience, quick note, as always, make sure you write your question down. You can just send the questions through us. The last 15 minutes of this presentation, we will take your questions. In terms of the presentation, this presentation will be available, recorded version of this presentation will be available after the webinar to you guys. So don't worry, just sit back and relax and try to learn something new. And that's pretty much all that I need to say. Once again, thank you everyone, wherever you are. Really appreciate taking time with us. And the floor is the Montfort people.
Hi there. Hi. Just before Joe begins his presentation, just to introduce myself. My name is Martin Booth. I work in the UK international team in Montfort University's international office. So I promise not to speak for very long before I pass over to Joe. Just want to say I hope everyone's safe and well wherever you are in the world, and obviously your family and friends too. I want to thank very much ApplyBoard for this opportunity. They're one of our key partners, and obviously they're allowing us to present the university to you, who are obviously their key partners in return. So thank you very much, ApplyBoard. Before Joe starts, just wanted to pick up on three particular key points about the university. First of all, we're recruiting currently from over 133 countries from around the world. We have a very large international office, both based in Leicester and also with people throughout the world. And the university has introduced a significant number of initiatives, which Joe will talk to you about. But what that really demonstrates is that we're very able to support both you and your students wherever they're coming from around the world. In terms of Montfort University and where we're located, that's Leicester. Many of you, if you're interested in sport, will know about Leicester because we won the Premier League finals a couple of years ago, which has really put us on the world stage in terms of sporting. Any historians may know that the bones of King Richard III were found in a car park in the city centre, actually just across the road from where we're located. But I think crucially, talking about international students, which is obviously why we're here, if you look at England, United Kingdom, and exclude London, I think it's true to say without a shadow of a doubt that Leicester is seen as being the most international city in the UK. And it's certainly seen as being the most multicultural. And obviously what that means for students coming to study in the UK and in Leicester is it means that they're going to be very at home in the city. So whether that be down to being able to enjoy the food they have at home, or to continue with the religious practices they have at home, or just meeting people from their own country, they're very able to do that in the city. But at the same time, the city is a very British city, so it's a very good combination of international and enjoying everything that the UK and Britain has to offer. Finally, I'd say in terms of the university's academic offering, we have over 400 programs, we have 4 very large faculties, and we're teaching across many levels. And I think it's true to say that many of those programs we're offering tend to be the key programs that international students looking to study overseas look to go to. They're the kind of go-to subjects, if you like. So just to summarize, in terms of supporting international students and partners who are bringing students to the UK, we're very, very well able to support that. In terms of the city, without a shadow of a doubt, we're an excellent city for international students. And certainly we are very likely to have the programs that many, many of those students are looking to study while here. So thank you very much again. And without further ado, I'll pass you over to Joe. Thanks, Joe.
With ApplyBoard today. And you know, my name's Joe. I'm from Montfort University as well. I'm one of the country managers within Martin's team. And hopefully you'll find the presentation fruitful today, and we can cover all aspects of Montfort University. So today the agenda, we're just going to cover Leicester, you know, why Leicester, the city. We're going to introduce the Montfort University, talk about our accreditations, a faculty overview, international student benefits, including scholarships, and finally, Dmu Global, which is a very exciting initiative of ours, and we'll talk about that as we go along. So yes, we'll go into the next slide now. Okay, so welcome to Montfort University, and so why Leicester? As Martin explained, Leicester is a very international city. It's 1 hour away from London, making it very central and convenient for students to base themselves in. According to the Good Cities Growth for Index 2019, Leicester was voted in the top 10 cities to live and work in, and that has been the case for the last 3 years, and that's in terms of quality of life and also affordability for students. So it just again reiterates that Leicester is a great place for students to not only study in, but also base themselves if they want to, let's say, go to nearby cities such as Birmingham, which is 40 minutes away, Nottingham, which is 30 minutes away, and of course London, which is an hour away. Okay, so we'll go on to the next slide, and we'll tell you more about the key features of Leicester. Okay, so just in the bottom left-hand corner, you can see a photo of King Richard III, and his bodies, his remains, like Martin explained, were found near to our campus a few years ago, and it's really kind of, you know, now there is a memorial centre commemorating his life, which is great for tourists and international students to visit, and also gain more kind of, let's say, insight into British and Leicester history and culture. In the top left-hand corner, we have a photo of the Leicester Kerr Theatre, in which students can watch lots of musicals, lots of plays, and even some of our performing arts students can have a chance to perform there. Moving on to this photo here, it's a photo of Bradgate Park, which is approximately 15 minutes drive away from our campus, and it's a great historic park where students can go away and really relax and unwind away from the pressures of exams and assignments. And in the right-hand corner there, we have a photo of the National Space Centre, which is based 10 minutes away from our campus. And it's just, if you have any students who are space enthusiasts, it's just a great way for them to add to their experience and understand how, let's say, the UK or Europe as a whole is contributing to the space mission. And last but not least, we have the High Cross Shopping Centre, which is 5 minutes away from our campus, making it again really easy for students to get around. And just like any other shopping centre in the whole world, we've got lots of clothing shops, restaurants, bars, a cinema, and a crazy golf centre. Okay. Okay, so this slide here is focused more so on Montfort University and some of our key features. So as we've explained, we're based right in the middle of the UK in Leicester, and we were founded in 1870. So we've got a lot of heritage and a lot of history, and this year actually commemorates our 150th anniversary, which is something we're really proud about. So in 1870, we were originally founded as an art school, and that's still kind of core as to what we do to this day. And again, we've made investments recently in our art and design faculty and spent 58 million, which just reiterates how much we want to give back into our faculty and the fact that art and design is still core as to what we do. We have over 27,000 students from approximately 135 countries. So as Martin explained earlier on in the presentation, we have a very diverse and multicultural population at De Montfort University and in Leicester. So your students aren't only going to experience, let's say, aspects of British culture, but they're going to be exposed to lots of different cultures, different languages, different ways of thinking from around the world, which is going to be great for their time at De Montfort University and also for their future. Okay, so we have a city centre campus with on-campus accommodation, making it really easy for students. Again, there's not really a need for them to pay for transport because they can walk everywhere. And finally, we have 5 international airports with a 2-hour radius from our campus. Again, making it really easy for students to, let's say, be connected around the world. Okay. Okay, here is a high-level map of our campus. As you can see here, we're 5 minutes away from the city centre, 15 minutes away from the train station, of course, depending on how fast someone walks. And yeah, so the purple buildings kind of on the outskirts of our campus represent the accommodation available for students. And all accommodation is guaranteed for international students at all levels, which is great for them. And you can see here, there's a nice little park as well where students can go to during breaks from their lectures, if they want to hang out with their friends, and so on. And it's just a really close-knit, nice close-knit campus. And we've also got a doctor's surgery as well for students, making it really, again, convenient for them. Okay, so moving on to accommodation, we've got a brief slide here about the range of accommodation that we have on offer for students. And if you do, let's say, have any questions, specific questions with regards to accommodation, please do feel free to ask as we go along, and hopefully we can address that towards the end of the presentation in the Q&A. So we offer a range of accommodation from en-suites, studio flats and shared accommodation. And here are a few photos representing the accommodation we have on offer. And again, just to reiterate it, all accommodation is guaranteed for every international student at all levels. Just to add to this as well, as we've said previously, Leicester is a very, very affordable city to live in. And students are looking at maybe spending £800 to £900 a month, and that's including all bills. So I guess from this point of view, students are going to be, let's say their money will go a lot further in Leicester and they'll have a better time because they can actually obviously spend more and go out with their friends. Okay, so moving on to our sponsors. So as we touched on earlier in the presentation, of course, we have the glorious Leicester City, who won the Premier League a few years ago, and they are one of our sponsors, along with the Leicester Tigers rugby team, the Leicestershire, the Leicestershire County cricket team, and the Leicester Riders basketball team. Okay, so all of our students get an opportunity to win tickets to watch games, and potentially they could get a part-time job at one of our sponsors. So I guess in essence, this is a great way for students to maybe, let's say, integrate into the local community, and maybe when they, let's say, were to return home or go to pastures new, they can really gain a new identity, and they can go somewhere and say, yes, I support Leicester City, or I support Leicester Tigers, and so on. So it's just a great way for them to add another dynamic to their time at De Montfort University. Okay, so moving on to something we are very, very proud about, and who doesn't love gold? So in 2017, we were awarded TEF Gold, which is the Teaching Excellence Framework, which number 1 reflects our quality teaching, number 2 student satisfaction, and number 3 employability success. So 97.3% of our students are either in full-time employment or continued studies 6 months after graduation. And if you compare this to the national average within the UK of 94%, that is actually quite significant, and it really gives, let's say, yourselves and students the confidence that they'll not only, let's say, number one, receive a great education and they'll be very satisfied at De Montfort University, but they can have the confidence that they'll gain the skills necessary to prepare them for the global workplace. And just to kind of summarize the slide here, you can see some key features as to what makes us stand out in TEF Gold. So De Montfort University is the #1 university for numbers of Black, Asian and minority ethnic students in highly skilled employment. Okay, so moving on to investments in facilities. In recent years, we have spent a whopping 136 million renovating our campus, which really shows that we are really keen on reinvesting in our campus and giving back to students to aid their education. As we said earlier, we've spent 58 million renovating our art, design and architecture complex alone, which is absolutely beautiful. And we've spent 8 million on our sports centre. So we now have a specialised sports building, as well as a leisure centre, which has a climbing wall, has a gym, a swimming pool, and so on. So it just kind of really shows that we're wanting to reinvest in our students and their future. And here is a photo of our campus on a beautiful sunny day. The main building that you can see here in the middle of this slide is the art and design building, and it's absolutely glorious. And you can see here the campus itself is very open plan, making it really nice for students to hang out with their friends, and it's a very leisurely walk from one building to another. You've got some luscious green spaces over there as well for students to relax on, and yeah, it's a really nice cozy feel. Okay, so moving on to our faculties. So first of all, we have art and design, and like we've said on a few occasions now, we're very proud of our art and design courses, including contour fashion and footwear design, which we are one of the only free universities in the whole world to be offering these two courses. So as you'd expect, year on year, we get lots of applications for these two courses in particular, and they're very, very popular. We also offer the likes of fashion, textiles, product design and design crafts. And just to add to this as well, what we've realized in the last few years is that there's a lot of interest to combine, let's say, business and fashion courses together. So now we have the likes of fashion buying with marketing, fashion buying with merchandising, fashion management and marketing. So it kind of combines the two together and maybe gives students who previously may have just studied business a platform to combine their interests with a business aspect as well. And yeah, so in 2017, we were ranked in the top 10 for graduate prospects. And year on year, we are involved in the London Fashion Week and the Hong Kong Fashion Week, in which our students have a platform to show off their work and really commemorate the hard work that they've put in throughout their studies. Okay, so moving on to business and law. So as you'd expect, we offer a wide range of courses within this faculty, including the likes of accounting and finance, economics, risk management, and a few law courses as well, such as LLB law, international business law, and so on. So within the business and law faculty itself, we have a Bloomberg trading system, which is linked to the Wall Street Stock Exchange, in which students can actually have a chance to, let's say, play with fake money before they lose real money and really fine-tune their trading skills. So I know that lots of our students find this experience fruitful, and we actually have approximately 15 desks within the trading room where students can really hone their skills and gain that experience to hopefully, elevate their career and give them the best opportunities for the future. Okay, so staying with the business school, we're going to talk about our Leicester Castle Business School, which is on campus as well, and it's mainly where our bespoke business courses are taught. So, for example, the postgraduate courses, more so professionally tailored. So just to give you let's say a little bit of history. So you might be thinking, okay, why is De Montfort University called De Montfort University? Okay, so let me tell you. So basically, there was a French guy called Simon de Montfort who came over from France many years ago, and eventually came to Leicester and became the Earl of Leicester, in which he founded the first UK Parliament right here on campus at Montfort University. And if you see the second photo in this slide, that is a photo of our courtroom within the business school, and it's the longest running courtroom in the whole of the UK. So it's a great place for students, obviously, especially law students, to hone their skills and actually apply skills in a real life context. And how, you know, there's no more kind of, let's say, a real opportunity to practice their skills in a courtroom. And yeah, we offer the likes of MBA Global, which is an entry-level MBA, and students don't necessarily need experience. We have a project management MSc, creative enterprise MSc, and even we have a very bespoke course called MSc Air Transport Management, which is fantastic, and students from any background can apply to that course. So, for example, business students, economics students, geography students, engineering students, and so on. And yeah, so if you do have any other questions specifically about the business school, please do feel free to ask towards the end of our presentation. Okay, so moving on to computing, engineering, and media. So at De Montfort University, we are very proud of the computing and engineering courses that we offer throughout this faculty, including the likes of aeronautical engineering at both BSc and MSc level, cybersecurity, cyber technology, mechatronics, mechanical engineering, engineering management, and so on. All of these courses, in fact, are developed in conjunction with industry experts such as Deloitte, Airbus, BT, and Rolls-Royce. And that just really reiterates the quality of teaching students with experience at De Montfort University. And the ties that we have with these companies means that we have guest lecturers coming to our campus on a regular basis, talking to students, giving them industry insight, and giving them knowledge that they might not have known beforehand. So in prior years, students have gone on to work for companies such as Samsung, BBC, IBM, Google, and so on. So just again, really shows that our students are going to receive top quality education and have the opportunity to actually hone their skills at some great companies. Okay, and finally, moving on to our health and life sciences faculty. So for just over 100 years, we've been teaching pharmacy now, which we are also very proud of. We've got a lot of heritage there. We're respecting the field of pharmacy as well. And in recent years, we've developed pharmaceutical biotechnology. We offer the likes of medical science as well, adult nursing, child nursing, and even international nursing and leadership. We also offer the likes of health psychology, education and well-being, MA education practice, and nutrition BSc as well. So there are a wide range of different health and life science courses that students can choose from at De Montfort University. And our pharmacy course is actually accredited by the General Pharmaceutical Council, which again reflects how well taught the course is. Okay, and just briefly, moving on to our Inspired by Industry page. So I'd imagine that you've probably seen a similar page to this many a times before, but this is just to show you that many of our courses, 170 plus to be precise, are accredited by professional bodies, which subsequently means that students don't necessarily need to complete postgraduate examinations. So we've got the likes of IET, General Pharmaceutical Council, as we mentioned previously, CIMA, RIBA for the architecture students, and CIPFA. Okay, so moving on to De Montfort University international student benefits. I guess every university to an extent has international student benefits, but we really believe that we support our students from day one all the way until they not only graduate, but go into their future careers through our, of course, Dmu Alumni Scheme. So we have the free airport pickup which all international students are eligible to choose from. And following on from this, we have the International Week, which takes place twice a year. And it's a really great place and time for students to meet new friends, kind of ease into life at Montfort University and in Leicester, and really just acclimatise into life and just make new friends from around the world. Thirdly, we have what's called the Buddy Scheme, and we're really quite proud of this scheme because we're just trying to focus on, again, making the new students feel really at home and supporting them from day one. So this is basically where we have a new international student and we pair them up with a current Montfort University student, whether that's a home student or an international student, and they'll meet on a fortnightly basis and just build up a rapport and build up a friendship. And finally, we have free in-sessional English classes focusing on students' academic English and helping them helping them throughout their degree, of course. Explore the UK scheme, which is basically where students can go up and down the United Kingdom to different cities and learn about different cultures within the kingdom itself. And then finally, we have Dmu Global, which is a very exciting global initiative where we combine studies with global experiences and global exposure. And we'll talk about that more in the following slides. Okay, so this slide here summarizes what Dmu Global is about. So Dmu Global is all about encouraging our students to travel the world and gain new exposures, learn new languages, and actually just broaden their horizons. So we'll have trips such as, let's say, academic-led trips, study on exchange, summer schools, internships, and so on. So, for example, last year, we went to New York, and just over 1,000 of our students were there for a week, which was a great experience for them and really gave them an opportunity to try new things. And we'll talk about that as we go along. But it was a great platform for students. And just to add to that as well, the original cost of that trip was approximately £900, but students only ended up paying £500 because they received a travel bursary. So again, it's all about encouraging the students to actually get out there and get global and international exposure. And since the project was launched in roughly around 2011, just over 11,000 participants have taken part. And it's a really good way of preparing our the Montfort University graduates for the global workplace. Okay, so here is a photo. Okay, so here is a photo from our New York trip. The students, of course, are basking in the sun. And of course, as you can see there, they're all wrapped up nice and warm because obviously the weather in New York during January isn't the warmest. I can assure you the students didn't just take photos and go shopping and have lots of hamburgers. They did stuff that was related to their course as well, which could not only add value to themselves, but also potentially their future career. And we'll just talk about that more in the next slide. Okay, so here is what the students got up to during their New York trip other than shopping. So in the top left-hand corner, we have the mechanical engineering students in the Grand Central Station. They got a chance to explore the station, understand how it was built, and really understand how it's maintained to this day. In the top right-hand corner, we have the business and law students who went to the United Nations, listened to key speakers there, and also some of the students got a chance to speak up on stage in front of their fellow students and also some of the United Nations ambassadors. So again, it's just a great way for those students to get a feel as to whether they want to get into diplomacy and so on. And it just adds value to their experience. So say, for example, with the final year students, they might be feeling a bit unmotivated, and this could really give them the leg up to really try hard for the final 6 months and then hopefully do something similar to this once they graduate. In the bottom left-hand corner, we have the journalism and media students at the NBC studios. We have, and in the bottom right-hand corner, we have the game art students who were on the High Line. So again, all of these experiences were tailored towards the students' courses and can add to their experience and maybe help them during interviews because they can cross-reference to these experiences, or even just purely inspiring them to try new things when they graduate. Okay, here is a photo from our Hong Kong trip as well. It had a similar feel to the New York trip, but more so focused on Asia and Asian financial markets and so on. And finally, here are some other Dmu Global trips. So recently, last year, our students went to Vietnam. They went to the Adidas factory in Hanoi. I got to understand how the supply chain works, and spoke to business leaders who moved out there shortly after they graduated as well. Students have gone on trips to Berlin, to America, Paris, and so on. And finally, we do a lot of sustainability work and sanitation work in India. So the focus there is really giving something back and adding kind of, let's say, soft skills to the students' repertoire, such as cultural understanding, empathy, and so on. Okay, so hopefully you found that presentation fruitful, and we've covered as many bases as we can. If you do have any other questions, please do feel free to ask, and we can hopefully answer them as best as we can. But at Montfort University, we are incredibly proud of what we have to offer, and we hope you feel the same. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for that, Joe. That was brilliant. I hope everybody got a good overview of De Montfort. Before we start going into the questions, I want to welcome back Martin and Henna and Amr. Thank you so much for coming in. Also, before we start, I just want to say, as a graduate of DMU, I had a great time there. I spent 3 years studying my undergraduate degree many years ago, many years ago, and it was a fantastic experience for me. So I really encourage people to ask questions. We've got a lot coming through now. So I think what I'm going to start with is a question that I think a lot of people are thinking about before we really get into it. A few people have asked about the current situation when it comes to COVID. How are we preparing for students coming in September? And what are your plans for international students? So I think let's just get that out of the way first, and then we can continue on with other questions.
Okay, maybe I can pick up on that one, and obviously that's a big and important question, and yeah, it's probably good to deal with that one up front. So I think what I'd say there is that there is no complete clarity. The reason for that is because we're not clear, frankly, on what the situation is. It's not totally De Montfort University decision. Obviously, that's very much down to, probably more down to, what we're going to be allowed and told we can do by not only the British government, but governments throughout the world. But clearly, we seem to be in the UK heading in the right direction. In terms of things that we're putting in place, currently we're still working towards a normal September intake. If for any reason that isn't able to happen, and that's quite a possibility, the university has been considering and preparing to put in place various different options and solutions to mitigate those. Those include, and we've already increased significantly the number of programs that are available for the January intake. So they're very likely to be significantly more programs available, and potentially even all of those. But that really depends on how the situation pans out. The other options we're looking at is that if students can't physically join the university in September, that there will be options to join the university remotely from their home location, and then they will then travel to the university as and when they're able to. So I think clearly what we're saying is there will be options for students to join the university this year in the normal way in terms of studies. It's just might be how they do that online or maybe joining a little bit later. But I think crucially what we're saying is that they won't need to defer for a year. I'd certainly encourage students to not consider that, because not only is it obviously going to delay their academic studies, but if everyone in the world delayed for a year, then next year there's going to be double the number of students looking to study, and obviously universities, not only de Montfort but around the world, we only have a certain amount of capacity. So if everyone did that, there would obviously be the limited numbers. So I definitely encourage people to apply now, so that once the situation is clear and we put in place whichever option is best, or options are best, they can take advantage of those. Thank you.
So great answer. So on that note, we are saying that we're still open for September intake. People can still make applications.
Very much so, very much so. In fact, we'd encourage students to do that. We've done a little bit of research, and we think that there may be some students who are thinking, I'm going to wait until the situation becomes clear and then I'm going to apply. And I think it's going to, number one, get very busy then, and number two, if there are limited numbers of places for whatever reason, the students that are going to start their process at that time are probably going to find things quite difficult. So we're very much encouraging students to apply now. If they have conditions to their offers, such as English requirements, they can deal with those. I'm sure we'll come on to our internal online English test in a minute. Yes, so to answer your question, yes, it's definitely worth encouraging students to apply now.
So we had a question saying along those lines, if they haven't been able to take their final exams or they've been postponed, are we still saying they can apply, and then once that's done, they can give those results in?
Yes, definitely, yeah. So students, it's best for them to apply sooner rather than later. And then, of course, on their conditional offer, there'll be conditions, maybe saying the student needs to achieve this grade, or the student needs to get an English language evidence. And just to add to that as well, and add to what Martin briefly touched on, we actually have our own internal English test, an online English test. So students' English is great, but they don't actually have, let's say, an IELTS or a Pearson or a TOEFL or so on. They can actually, as long as they apply to the Montfort University and we create a student number, they can actually apply to take our English test, which is completely free of charge as well.
That's fantastic. That leads on to, sorry, Martin, go ahead.
So I just think I'd add to that, as well as our internal online English tests, we're also accepting other online tests, which we can share as well, including the IELTS indicator. So it's not just our own one online.
Fantastic. Sorry, I cut out there. That's exactly what I was going to ask next. So you're saying now you take IELTS indicator, which is great. Do you accept things like Pearson? I think Joe mentioned that they did. Duolingo. So what sort of English language tests are you accepting right now, apart from your internal English language test?
So as of right now, it would be the let's say IELTS indicator for the online English test. We're only accepting the Duolingo test of English right now for the pre-sessional English courses at our university, but we also accept the likes of Cambridge English, TOEFL, Pearson, and so on. And yeah.
And I had someone ask, do you accept the English language if that's their medium of instruction as well, or would they have to go through a separate test?
Okay, so is that a specific region in particular?
Someone asked for that from Sri Lanka.
Okay, so as our requirements will be that the student either has an IELTS or has an English language alternative, not an MOI within Sri Lanka, I'm afraid.
Okay, that's good. We've got lots of English language questions coming up here, but I'm going to move on from that because, again, any specific questions like that, we can hit back to ApplyBoard and we'll help with those applications. Otherwise, we'll have a million English language questions here. The next question I want to move on to is your business school, so your MBA.
Okay.
So we've got people asking, do you require a GMAT? Do you need work experience? What do you do if there's a study gap? Those sort of things.
Okay, it's a very good question, and it's one of our probably most popular courses. And yeah, so as it's an entry level MBA, students don't necessarily need work experience because they'll gain all those necessary skills whilst they are doing the course. I guess in terms of the let's say educational gap, as long as let's say maximum 3 to 5 years that the student during that time has demonstrated that they've been working professionally and have been working towards a career and are using this MBA to kind of elevate their career or maybe specialize in one part of business.
Thank you, Joe. Just to add on this, MG, if you don't mind, with the executive MBA, we do require 3 years of experience. The normal MBA that my colleague Joe mentioned, yeah, we do not require experience.
Okay, that's great to know. So going on from that, I do have lots of questions actually about your tuition fees and your scholarships. And if you do have scholarships, what can they do to get that?
Sure. Okay. So we have let's talk about tuition fees to start with. So on average, our tuition fees are 13 to 14,000 pounds. But our most expensive course, let's say MSc Cybersecurity, is just over 17,000 pounds. So the courses are very affordable, and of course, with Leicester being a cost-effective city as well, students are likely to not only have a good time but also thrive within during their time at De Montfort. In terms of our scholarships, we have 2 main scholarships. So the first one is the £500 early deposit discount. So if the student pays their deposit before the deposit discount deadline, they will get £500 off their tuition fee. And also we have the £1,500 international student scholarship, which is treated on a first come first served basis. So all in all, students will get £2,000 off their tuition fee. And we do have other scholarships that are available, but students can only have either, let's say, the £500 early deposit or the 1,500 or the other one. They can't have both, if that makes sense.
Okay, right, yeah. And that's something that students can apply for in line after they've got their acceptance?
Yeah. So as soon as the student pays their deposit, we can then process the scholarship accordingly.
Okay, wonderful. Got so many questions. This is great, guys. Thank you so much. I have other questions here, which go around the art courses, because obviously De Montfort is very well known for its art and design. It has really strong fashion faculty as well. So we had some people asking about the portfolio. So how would that be submitted? And is that directly or those sort of things? And I know that you've held a training on portfolios as well. So some information on that would be great.
Okay, so along with the student's application, personal statement, CV, transcripts, and so on, they would need to submit a portfolio for the likes of textile-related courses where there is an element of the design process, and it's really kind of the core and heartbeat as to their application, because this really shows the faculty that this student means business. And what we can guarantee from, let's say, the head of international within art and design, she can guarantee a really quick turnaround in terms of approving the student's portfolio. So that's a kind of assurance for you and your students as well. And just to kind of add to that as well, there is more information on our website with regards to like advice on portfolios. And also, as Ingy said, we do host regular Zoom webinars, just kind of giving students advice about portfolios and to meet as
well. That's great, thank you. We do have a lot of questions going around what your entry requirements. Of course, it's all very dependent on what faculty, what you're looking to do. So we're not going to go through every single entry requirement for every single course, obviously. So please just get in touch with your ApplyBoard representative and they can help you through that. We have everything on our platform there. We did actually have a question, which I'm going to give some background to. A couple of people asked about your accommodation. And they asked if they can actually arrange their own accommodation. Do they have to stay at De Montfort's accommodation in their first year? And I think that's coming from people that are used to applying, let's say, to US, where in the first year students have to stay on university-owned accommodation. So they're just asking that, do they have to stay at De Montfort accommodation, or can they arrange their own?
That's a very good question. And yeah, we do have lots of accommodation available for students. and all kind of different types as well. But although the accommodation is guaranteed for international students, they do have the choice either to choose private or let's say accommodation based on De Montfort University's campus. So there is an option for them to go privately, but we do advise that they use the help that is available at De Montfort University, and bear in mind that all accommodation is guaranteed for all international students.
Maybe I could just jump in there and just add a little bit to that. I think what we'd also say in terms of obviously students, they don't have to take our accommodation. They may know people in the city or want to arrange their own or do it with friends. That's fine. But what we do try to encourage students to do is actually to live in the city. If they're traveling from further away, we find that can affect obviously their studies. But having said that, I just reiterate that the city really is an excellent city in terms of cost for accommodation that's available. So it's not particularly difficult to find your own accommodation, but I would certainly encourage students in their first year to take up our accommodation, because it's a good way to not only be part of the campus, on campus, but obviously meeting other students. I mean, we're all very aware of that. But anyway, thank you.
No, that's great. I definitely think it's great to have that opportunity to look around the city. But the university accommodation, I went to visit you guys a few months ago, and it's before this whole situation, and it's fantastic. There's a lot of great accommodation on campus, very close to everything. I mean, you can just get out of bed, in a few minutes you'll be in your lectures. Who wants more than that, to be honest? We have actually quite a few people asking about how many international students you actually have on campus, and is it, in relation to how many local students do you have? So just wanting to know that sort of environment. Will they be with students of other nationalities there?
That's a very good question, Angie. If you don't mind, I'll jump in here. So in total, we have about 27,000 students. That's mixed between home students, European students, and international students. The percentage, it's about almost 35 to 40% international students.
Okay, that's a great percentage. And you have students from all over the world. I can vouch to that as well.
135 different nationalities, yes, correct.
There you go. Which is really useful. Obviously, you want to go to university to meet people from everywhere as well. I actually just want to go back to the question on Duolingo. A few people have actually asked, back to you, Joe, with regards to English language. Some people are saying, can you accept Duolingo as a definite? Because a lot of students in Sri Lanka are actually just taking that exam. So can we clarify that?
Okay, so for pre-sessional English courses, we can accept Duolingo for definite, but for the, let's say, standard entry courses such as undergraduate, postgraduate, we can't. But I guess for those students that currently hold a Duolingo test, they can more than certainly take our free online English test as an alternative, which works in a very similar format to the IELTS test, where the students would do the 4 components, and yeah, it's free of charge as well for the students.
There we go. That's exactly what I thought you would say.
So, and just to jump in there, obviously with the situation, unprecedented situation, the situation is changing constantly. So whilst we're not accepting the Duolingo right now, it's not unlikely that we wouldn't review that going forward. And obviously we'll share that with ApplyBoard, so you can share that with everyone if that changes, or if anything else was included in terms of other options available.
Okay, wonderful. Yeah, so just keep up to date. ApplyBoard will let you know exactly what's going on. We have that communication with De Montfort. I have another question here about deadlines, which goes in hand with us saying that everything is open. We can be applying for De Montfort for September. So what would you say we're looking at deadline-wise?
It's a very good question. Sorry, Hina. Sorry.
Oh, Hannah.
I do apologise, I was on mute, yes. Sorry. As Joe says, yes, it's a very good question. We don't have any deadlines as yet. We are welcoming applications, so please send those through to ApplyBoard. But at the moment, there is a deadline as such. But we do say the sooner the application comes in, the better, really, because that makes you more eligible for the limited amount of scholarships that we have.
And actually, there's a really good question that's been asked, and it might be a simple answer, but because of the current situation, if students aren't able to get their grades in time, or if they come quite later on, and then the CAS is sent out, will they be able to start the September course online or whatever blended way you're going to have it before they actually receive their visa, even if they're not going to travel for a few months? Do we know anything along those lines? I know it's a tough one.
Yes, I'm not sure
yes,
right now.
It is.
It is. Go on, Joe.
Sorry, that's of course, a very good question, a very tough question as well. And I guess as this situation unfolds, we're constantly reviewing, like Martin said, and Hina's mentioned as well, we're constantly reviewing the situation, and it's becoming more and more likely that we're going to have a blend of, let's say, and a mix of online courses from September until the new year. So that kind of mitigates that question there, and hopefully that answers the question.
Okay, so they will have time regardless. I think the whole thing is, and I'm seeing a lot of questions coming through, people are worried. We are open, we are going to make sure in the UK there are going to be ways that people will access the education. ApplyBoard will be keeping you up to date and let you know exactly what's going on. So if you're not getting the exact answer you want, it will come, and that's not anyone's fault. We are waiting, as you all are, to see what's going to go on. Looking at some more questions here. I think people want to a couple of people have asked actually to reconfirm if there can be a study gap. So I do know if you're looking to study in the UK, if there is a study gap, people want to see a CV around that and why you were having that study gap. So if you want to just elaborate a little bit on that study gap for a few people.
Yeah. So students can have of course, a study gap, dependent on, let's say, what they did during that study gap is the most important thing. So say, for example, as we kind of touched on earlier, say if the student did, let's say, a business related course at undergraduate, but then for the following 5 years after they graduated, they focused on the business of fashion, and then decided that they wanted to kind of really add to their repertoire and portfolio and wanted to do a MA fashion management course at Montfort University. Then as long as that student explains, why they've kind of come to this decision and want to study that particular course and how it's going to help them in the future and their future career, then their profile can definitely be considered. Whereas if the student hasn't really done much during those years, it's not really something we're looking for.
And that really goes to the point that if you're looking to study something different, they want to know reasons. We all change our minds, but there needs to be quite severe, quite strong reasons and explanations to why they want to do that. I've actually had another question here. Thank you for that, Joe, about family accommodation for master's students. Is there anywhere on campus, or do they provide these sort of things for people coming in at a master's level that might be bringing their family with them?
Okay, that's a very good question. Really good question, in fact. And yeah, there are services available to accommodate students from, let's say, or students that have all different kind of circumstances and maybe with their family or friends. And we do offer a range of, let's say, studio and bigger kind of apartments to accommodate students' needs. So there are definitely services within the accommodation department to support students who are looking to get accommodation with their family.
Okay, and people have asked, that's great, thank you for that. So after a student has graduated, is there, and I think you touched on this, support for students looking to get work? We can maybe touch upon the fact that they can actually work under their Tier 4 visa in the UK while they're studying, so maybe a little bit more about that.
Sure. So during their studies, the students can work up to 20 hours a week on a part-time basis. And we actually do have a recruitment agency on campus that can help students get part-time jobs and maybe jobs related to their course, such as a student ambassador. and so on. We also do have placement teams in all 4 of our faculties, mainly focused on getting placements for our undergraduate students, and they can help support the students from day 1 of applying all the way to the last day of their placement. So just kind of coming on to postgraduate and let's say placement opportunities within that level, we don't necessarily have a placement year, but we do have, let's say, especially within our business courses, we have a personal projects. So say, for example, the executive company project, where we pair up a student with a local, national or international company based on our due diligence checks with another company, and they'll work on a project for 3 months. So the company will give the student a project, and then throughout those 3 months, they'll work collaboratively, and at the end, they'll have to produce an outcome. And in some instances, you can see that as an internship. You can see it as an opportunity for the student to maybe get a job at that company afterwards. And even if they didn't, at least they've gone through the trials and tribulations as to how they're going to operate that project, and they can use it as a walking, talking portfolio. We also have a business research project where students could think of a business idea and follow it through for those 3 months, and at the end, they'll pitch their business idea to the program leaders and industry experts. And as well as this, we have the consulting project, which is basically similar to the executive company project, where we pair a student up with a local company where they'll act on a consultancy basis, advising maybe a local company that's wanting to crack into new markets and just giving them new insight. And then finally, we have, of course, the dissertation for all the research-minded students.
Great, and it's important just to reiterate what Joe said, that you are allowed to work during term time under your visa, but also be aware work isn't guaranteed. You have to go out there, you have to be good, you have to get it.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah, so actually we had a question. If you're talking about work and working during studies and the internship you were talking about, someone asked about, of course, post-study work visa. And if there's any more information coming up about that, I smile because I think a lot of things are on hold right now. But if we can say, what opportunities there are in the UK for studying after they graduate, for working after they graduate.
That's a very good question, NG. If you don't mind, I'll take this one because I'm an international student myself, and a few years ago, well, more than a few years now, I've applied for the post-study work visa myself, and I was granted 2 years to work after I completed my master's. So yeah, the talks is within the Home Office. PSW is going to happen. They didn't advertise it or set a date yet, but we're all hoping it will happen in very soon. The student, after they complete their degree, they are eligible to apply for the PSW post-study work, which will give them 2 years visa within the UK. They can apply within the UK and they can start looking for jobs. Again, just to echo Joe's point, when you meet with the placement team in each faculty, you always go with your CV, your cover letter, and you ask for help. They will guide you and they will introduce you to their industrial partners within the market. So it will be really useful for you to try to secure something as a placement, even if you started working as a volunteer. And that's how I started. I worked as a volunteer for a few months. Then I was offered a job. And that's, again, a one way to look at this.
Fantastic. That's great. It's great to see an example of an international student right here. That's wonderful. I think we are closing up now. I don't think we can actually go into any more questions. There are so many. I appreciate everybody for asking all the questions. A lot of things ApplyBoard can get back to you on. I know there's questions about PhDs and requirements. Again, your ApplyBoard team member can help you go through all those because we are in very good touch with De Montfort. I'm going to pass you on to Mehdi now, but I want to say first, thank you for answering those questions. Thank you all for asking those questions, and I'll take you back to Mehdi.
Thank you so much, NJ. Thank you everyone for taking time this evening with us, your evening, our morning, and going through the question. I personally sat down here and learned a lot. Even though the Montfort is a big name in our company and I hear it every week, so thank you really much for that. And to our amazing partner, once again, thank you so much for taking the time and being with us here. Hopefully you guys took something new away. There is no application fee for any students through ApplyBoard portal, so please go ahead and apply for your student. As Martin mentioned, it's always the best to plan early on, as so much uncertainties around the world. So let's just make sure that we advise the students on what's the best for them, and rather than waiting and maybe that delay them 2 or 3 years of education gap if things goes back to normal sooner than anyone expected. So let's just be proactive rather than reactive. And tomorrow we will have Brescia University College, our next partner school that we'll take. Washington, Western Michigan is the day after tomorrow, and we go next week back to University of Surrey. And I'll look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow. Once again, thank you so much, the Montfort people, for taking time. Wherever you guys are, I hope you guys are healthy and safety. And that's pretty much. Thank you so much.
Thank you, De Montfort. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.